Winter 2013 Golden Boy events in here, bringing you a match that we both have been eagerly anticipating.
Oh, yeah.
It is going to be Eyeballers facing up against the boys over in Epsilon.
You know, this is going to be such a close game. I mean, both these two teams look very strong. And this is an important game as well, looking at the group, because these two teams, you know, the opposite to the game that we saw last game, it was the two teams at the bottom. These are the two teams at the top. So arguably the team that wins this, it's pretty much asserting their dominance. I mean, except for Eyeballers.
Yeah, well,
that probably didn't really make much sense. But let me rephrase that. If Epsilon win,
that's
going to give them two wins, and then they're going to play XDS, who I think we can all agree Epsilon should win, right?
I mean, they should beat statistically, but upsets do happen.
That is very true. That is very true. But wherever Eyeballers,
but if you're a bracketologist, then yes,
like myself, you know,
yeah,
I do what I can. But if Eyeballers win, they go on and they play MYM. Now that is going to be a crazy game because, I mean, MYM, they're fighting for it. They are fighting for it. They've won one, lost one. Obviously, they lost the first game against Epsilon in crazy fashion earlier on, but still, a lot is riding on this game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious to see what you guys are voting for as well at home, because both these two teams have big fan bases. A lot of people saying Eyeballers could come out and potentially win this on Reddit. Epsilon, well, they fought their way through the BYOC yesterday.
Yep, and they haven't dropped the game yet.
They still yet to drop a game here at Dreamhack.
Yeah, that makes sense. Even Fnatic dropped the game, so that will give you something, put it into perspective there, how crazy this matchup is going to be. And the battleground will be on Langkang Dam. And if you guys aren't familiar with this map, it is a office space, basically. So make sure you guys are voting for who you want to come out on top. Is it going to be Epsilon? Make sure you use !Epsilon. Or is it going to be Eyeballers? Make sure you use !I. That will take you to a click-to-tweet link on Twitter where you can vote for your favorite team from there. Now, we saw this map yesterday, and we saw actually the crazy breakout as both teams are actually going to be right next to each other. First blood is going to be drawn by Horik here as he takes out one player. And let's go ahead and bring this up. We haven't seen Epsilon since the beginning of the show here, and you know that the boys of Fnatic are looking at this game very closely because they know either one of these teams is capable of dethroning them here at Dreamhack.
Absolutely. Epsilon looking very good, and as well, you have to think, you know, if you're a Fnatic player or a Fnatic fan, the storyline between these two teams, obviously, Fnatic used to be a part of Epsilon.
That's right.
So there is a bit of a rivalry there between these two teams, and right now it is going to be Epsilon starting off the stronger with both Bravo and Charlie control. It's just going to be Eyeballers with that A flag.
Yeah, and it seems like Horik here is
getting a little bit of lag going on.
Yeah, he's not doing good. That's not a good thing.
Oh, wait, he's out.
He dropped out. All right, well, we'll see if that was a game freeze or if it was a PC freeze. If it was a PC freeze, he'll be back later. He'll be back in a while. Yeah. If it was a game freeze, he'll be back within the next minute or so. All right, so we're just going to have to carry on as the rules state. If a player drops out, they will have to continue playing the game as Epsilon are going to be playing that man down. We're going to follow Gera here. Let's see what he's going to do, making his way over to C as they are going to get triple cap right now. This is not a good look for Epsilon. Eyeballers looking amazing.
Yeah, Eyeballers just need to try and take the initiative here. Recognize they have a little bit of a fluke chance, I guess you could call it. You know, they have an opportunity now to really go big and try and develop a bit of a lead.
Really only getting, you know, like a 4-ticket, you know, like, not really 4 tickets, but really only widening the gap just a bit here. I mean, there's still plenty of time.
Oh, yeah.
Still plenty of time for Horik to come back.
If you can try and get a big lead now, whilst they do have a player down, you know, that's just going to give you a little bit more of an advantage in the late game of round one, I guess you could say, or the first half of this. Because I mean,
Horik is back.
Right, he is back, so that was obviously just a minor little freeze issue there. He is back in the game, and not really much of an advantage was gained, apart from the fact that right now Eyeballers have Epsilon trip capped.
That's right. I mean, Epsilon needs to find a way to answer back as Horik gets right back into the action here, looking at Core. Core is going to be shopping around here by lobby, looking to see if he's going to find anyone. Gera's going to be out in the front. He's going to find a couple of players himself. And making a way over to research here could be the prime opportunity that they were looking for. As let's actually see what we have on the overhead. So it seems like we do have research here. There are going to be 2 players inside of research. And let's see how Core is going to handle this one, as he's actually going to get pincered from both sides. This isn't going to be good. Finding one player, he's going to take out one that was going to be,
oh my
nice
God.
Double as Jaeger, Daniel, and Zinx do both get taken out by Core. That was going to be a great setup, I have to say.
You can't allow someone to do that to you, not at this level. I mean, that was a crazy play from Core, but realistically, when 2 of you are pincering, one from each side, you
should be able to get that.
You need to be able to pick that up. You really do. Epsilon now, you can see, with control of Charlie, putting some pressure on the alpha flag as well. This is not looking good for Eyeballers. They weren't really able to establish a very dominant lead. I mean, don't get me wrong. 174 to 138, still a pretty hefty lead. But you know, if you're Eyeballers, you know what Epsilon can do. they can easily get rid of that lead within a couple of minutes.
That's right. Looking here, you have a couple of the boys from Epsilon as they're trying their best to get in. I want to get in. Yes, I got in. All right, here we go. So now in the laboratory, the battle's going to be going down here. 3 members of each team are going to be fighting it out here as we're going to jump on board with Guerra, who I believe is going to be at the thick of this by A, finding one player. He's going to find Clisset right on the other side there. Clisset's going to be there for the pickup. And now we're going to jump with David 2K, who I was talking with Zinto just a little while ago. And you and I both were. He said David 2K is one of the players, like probably one of the best players on this team.
Yeah, he's been playing quite well throughout this whole tournament, including in the BYOC. And you see him just drop down like James Bond style there, picks up Grossville, and you know, nice plays coming from the Epsilon lineup, but they are trip cap right now. They have obviously players on C, but this isn't really like the Epsilon that we've been seeing so far throughout this tournament. You know, they're yet to actually drop a map in this tournament, and they need to be a little bit more aggressive. Unfortunately, another play from Epsilon. Why is it always Epsilon, man? I swear, another play from Epsilon actually just disconnecting, and that's a little unfortunate. But Eyeballers, they need to use this to their advantage now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and they certainly are, as the lead is going to be in their advantage by about 43 tickets now, as David's going to continue to hold down C. If they can get one more and play to the advantage of this map's layout, where it's all corridors, it's all buildings, you know, get those tight choke points. If they're able to do that, they can very well come back into this game. Able to find one player, but nothing's going to happen there. Zanks is going to be there for that incendiary, taking out one. Last man left alive in the squad. Horik's going to have to stay up here. Shots exchange all over the place. 16 health remaining as he finally gets cleaned up.
Yep, just waiting to see whether Epsilon can try and get their 5th man back in. But right now, Eyeballers, they are taking full advantage of it as Core does join back. Hopefully that will be the last disconnect of this game. Now, Epsilon, that trip cap right now, Golden Boy. What do you reckon is the best way of them trying to get back into this game? I
mean, honestly, rooftop control, without a doubt, has certainly shown itself to be very, very vital in this game.
Yep.
But they need to be able, one, to establish, you know, control on the rooftop and really just look at where Eyeballers are going to be pushing. But the thing about Eyeballers and the way that they play, they're so aggressive that honestly, it's very hard to predict if they're going to go one direction versus the other. So how do you play this one? Honestly, you kind of just force Eyeballers to make a mistake, and you get that rooftop control.
Well, that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. And, you know, if I'm part of Epsilon as well, 2 disconnects in one game, that's so unfortunate. I'm kind of thinking, let's just try and reduce the ticket lead. Let's kind of not think of this as we need to win this first half, because they know they're a really talented lineup. They can easily take it in the second half, but they just need to reduce that ticket count, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. But they need to keep hold of B flag if they're going to have any chance of doing that, and as well as that, Eyeballers, they've hopped on their A flag as well. This is not good if you're an Epsilon fan.
That's right. Well, David 2K on your screen is Epsilon. You know, I'm giving them a lot of love here because they're the ones that have to answer back. They're currently going to be down by about 75 tickets, finding one player in front. It's going to be Grossville. He manages to take him out. Grossville there, and David 2K pushing on forward into B as it seems like they're going to do something, but Jaeger Daniel's going to be there for the stop. Let's go ahead, hop on board with Jaeger Daniel. It's going to be 7-4, and the trip cap started for Eyeballers as Epsilon is struggling in this first matchup.
They're not having the best of time, let's be honest. Eyeballers really are taking full advantage. They want to be the first team to take a map away from Epsilon. Again, we have to repeat it because it's very, very unusual at this kind of a level to have a team that hasn't dropped a map so far in a tournament. That just shows you how well they are playing, and it isn't as if they're only playing today. They were playing all through the BYOC yesterday as well.
Exactly.
So it is a really phenomenal feat. As looking at the scoreboard, you got Epsilon, you got David pretty much leading the pack, 13-7, and over on the other team on the Eyeballers, no one really getting some big digits. I mean, there's a huge score deficit, but 35 kills on both teams, and this is something that Eyeballers were saying to me earlier on. Often they'll win games and they won't outfrag their opponents.
Yeah,
really
which
strange.
But it just shows their positioning. They're a position-based team. They get the kills that matter, right?
Yep.
They're not about just swarming and getting a bunch of kills. They're about just, solidifying those that mean the most to their team. But Epsilon now, they're going to be the ones attacking here as they'll be on the bleed, or excuse me, Eyeballers will be on the bleed. Epsilon, though, forcing that one to happen as Grossville, he's going to be hanging out up top here right by the lobby. So he's going to be lobby catwalk. There's going to be shots exchanged all over the place as Grossville has to back up. He knows that that group leader there is going to be waiting for him.
No.
And Garrett's still staying up.
You see someone, not that much of him, but still managed to get a couple of tags off, backs off as well. Recognizes that he is, in fact, losing that C flag. Epsilon having completely pinned in. He's going to be able to pick up the frag. Don't think he's going to be able to, but his squad are spawning on. Then they're going to go flying past him as well. He's going to do just enough to stay alive. How is he not dead? I have no idea. But dodges out the building with 70
Usually
HP.
I would do that. If I get hit with a grenade, I'll just jump out of a building.
Yeah, it's just like out, right? You know, you
Makes sense. You know?
Yeah, just find your nearest exit and just get out of there.
Peppered with sharpnel. Oh man, but somehow Grossfall manages to stay alive here. Let's go ahead and hop on board with David 2K and the boys as Epsilon. It seems like they're starting to mount the comeback here, and they did end up losing B, but that could be an opportunity for them to make their way over to A. They are getting trip capped though, so they have to be very weary of that. Flag is going to be neutralized as Epsilon will be inside of B. Got to prevent the trip cap for as long as they possibly can. They finally get that. Now let's see what they're going to be making moves to. My guess is definitely going to be C.
Well, the big thing right now is that Alpha flag. It's completely open, and it's actually going to be Epsilon Core who's just going to dive on that. No one at all near him to contest that, and it's going to be Grossfall as well for Team Eyeballers at that Bravo flag, trying to cause a little bit of mischief. I think he may actually be able to cap that. It's looking that way, so Epsilon, they need to control that flag just a little bit longer. They've done so well in reducing the deficit, considering they had 2 players disconnect, which was just so unfortunate, but they are still in this game. Yeah,
I mean, reducing the lead down, you know, if this was what we were seeing earlier here, I mean, you could have very much counted that team out, but Horik is going to get taken out. Jura is going to be the last person left alive. Last man in squad. Let's see where the spawns are going to be happening here. As Jura's going to hang back. He's not finding anyone just yet, but they're going to be pushing on over to A to make sure that they're covering this, forcing over to B and C as well. Look for them to make moves over here by B as a large cluster of players are going to be circulated right by A. And now Jura pushing on forward. Where is he going to go? It seems like he's making his way and continuing to defend his flag, knowing that A is currently being captured, and his team is going to be able to secure that.
Yeah, he's going to need to hop on this flag instantly just to try and keep the points on the board. Bravo is being taken away from Team Eyeballers. Epsilon, and they have the control of the map there. And you can just see Jerry, he's kind of playing a little bit more defensive now. He recognizes they lose A. That is going to pretty much be the end of this game. Has a couple of line of sight of a couple of plays at B. He's going to have to call that one out to his teammates. He backs off and reloads. Can't afford to lose the B flag. He's going to need to make a play here. Just standing there isn't going to do enough, as that flag is going to go neutral, and it is going to go under control of the Eyeballers. And you have to say, you know, you can see why Jared was trying to play passively, but in that situation when you only have 8 tickets left, you've got to be a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, that's right, but I'm still thinking that they can move in there on B and be able to force a couple of points,
well,
which would be great.
They need to. They only have 3 tickets left. They need to be careful as well. They don't want to die. 2 tickets remaining for Team Epsilon, and Eyeballers are looking strong and looking set to try and take the first map off Team Epsilon of the tournament.
Honestly, if they would have had more time to come back into this, I mean, honestly, Epsilon could have very well have done some work. It's not impossible here. Look at this as Jura, he was able to pick up Zanks there, but not the following kill. That's going to be an 82 ticket lead going into the half here on Lion King Dem. But if Epsilon has the, you know, fortune is favoring. Yes, fortune is favoring Epsilon.
You good?
I'm good. You know, that curry caught me off guard.
Yeah.
If fortune is favoring favoring Epsilon, they will not lose any players going into the half here. Let's see if that's going to be the case.
It's just a little bit unlucky. I mean, we look at the scoreboard there for Epsilon, but it doesn't really tell the true story, because both Horik and Core both actually disconnected midway through that game.
That's true.
And, you know, you look at Eyeball score, but again, you know, you look at the kills. They're a team which don't necessarily need to outfrag their opponent to win. It's a very strange sort of phenomenon, if you will. You know, they said it themselves. They came over and they were like, yeah, you know, often we'll win games where we don't get the most amount of kills. And we were both started like, really?
Yeah, well, I think, honestly, that's great. If you
think
about
it shows the skill.
It just shows you're all about positioning,
Exactly
all about
that.
getting the rotations and picking up the players on the cuts. If someone tries to, you know, go cross on the street or something like that, you're going to be there for that pickup. Those are the kills that matter the most. Stop bringing that up. That is hilarious. There's a GIF that me and Benson have been absolutely dying about.
It's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It is pretty fun. We'll share it with you guys on Twitter. So now that is pretty much going to do it for the first round of play, but now going into round number 2, it is going to be quite the matchup here. Epsilon's going to have a very tall order in front of them to be able to overcome.
I agree. It's going to be an 82-point lead. Now, if you're sat there and you're Epsilon now, what's your team mentality going into the second side?
You just play your game, honestly. You just play your game. You do what you got to do. You know that if you had more tickets to work with, eventually you would have caught up to eyeballers.
That's
so
true.
if they keep on playing the way that they played in that last half, they could realistically come back into this game and win it. I mean, yeah, granted, they have an 80-ticket deficit to overcome, but I don't see it being impossible, especially with these two teams. They have shown that in this event, they are the teams to watch here, and this is definitely going to be case in point right here. It seems like the teams are not ready just yet, but seems like we have the ranking going on here, by the way.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, eyeballers.
Epsilon actually losing that. Epsilon have a huge fan base, but you know the BF4 community game behind eyeballers, as you mentioned earlier on, Golden Boy. You know, on Reddit, a lot of people saying eyeballers could potentially win this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Honestly, it's you know, I mean, I think that they're a very talented team and they have a lot of capabilities. So we'll see, man. I mean, this has just been an insane matchup. So no one really going for anything because I think we're going to get the server reset here. So we did have some computer issues. So let's jump to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get that resolved. That shouldn't take too long, hopefully. So let's see who's going to take the second half. Is Epsilon going to be able to answer back, or will eyeballers be able to close this one out going to game number 2? We're going to find out after this. All right, told you guys it was going to be okay, you know? But no, you guys had it all mad in the chat and stuff. I don't appreciate that, man. It's disgusting. I'm kidding. You guys are awesome. Darlings, all of you. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the action as it is now going to be the second side of play here. Ben, don't judge me, bud.
I didn't say a thing, bro.
I will hurt you.
You probably would, and that's very cruel and quite frankly not very nice.
Oh, well, you know, it's understandable. So anyway, let's see here. Jaeger Daniel now, as he will be the one we're taking a look at here, getting C right away and getting this control. Let's see now if anyone's going to be here for the contestment, and there was going to be Horik, as Jaeger Daniel will be there for the pickup. Good shot by him. Eyeballers out the gate looking very strong. They cap B and C. Well,
they already have that 82-point lead, so if you are just tuning in and you're a bit confused as to what this 82-point lead means, essentially if Epsilon drop below 82 points, the game will become mathematically impossible for them to win, and Eyeballers will be the first team here at Dreamhack to take a map off Epsilon, and that's going to give them a 1-0 lead in this best of 3. But take nothing away from Epsilon. They are a fantastic team. They are definitely capable of this comeback. They may have fought through the BYOC, but they did it in extraordinary fashion.
That's right, Benson. And now B is going to go to them thanks to the help of Core and company moving in and getting that control. So they are able to get B, but they do see that B is being contested now, as Scar is actually going to be on the other side of that one. B and C are both getting contested. Actually, C gets flipped. That's going to be dangerous as Core needs to find this player by B. There was someone lingering around there. I think he was Scar, so he does get picked off, but they end up losing C, and that is going to be unfortunate as Epsilon needs every single ticket in this matchup in order for them to come back.
Yeah, Epsilon really need a strong start if they're really going to have any chance for a comeback. I mean, a couple of unfortunate disconnects in that last game definitely did not help, but again, you have to reiterate, if there's any team realistically can do this besides Fnatic, Epsilon is definitely going to be on that list up there with obviously your AAAs. They've all done fantastic comebacks. As right now, Daniel up top, he's managed to get himself a couple of frags. Can he try and pick up anything else is going to be the question. Just trying to do a little bit of slow defensive work, I guess you could say. And that's all he really needs to do at this point. You know, Eyeballers recognize they have the lead. All they need to do is just try and force Epsilon to bleed out, and they will take this first match.
Yeah, and that would be that's a very realistic thing here, Benson, especially with that lead that they are beginning to build up on. Let's see here, who is actually flipping it? So Epsilon not able to gain C, and they're losing A right now. There's going to be a player around their Scar just causing mischief right around them, as you say, Ben. I mean, honestly, every single time they think they have a flag, they have two members of Eyeballers moving in there. A very aggressive style, which is something that we haven't really... You know, we see Eyeballers play aggressively, but they play aggressive when they secure positioning. Very rarely do we see them play aggressive and get kills, and that is like and get like a lot of kills, right? Like really establish dominance in the slaying column, and that's happening here. Jaeger Daniels 7-1, Scar on the other side of that one's 4-2. I mean, they've been doing a phenomenal job. Everyone on this team has about 3 kills now, and Epsilon needs to step it up. I mean, in order for them to win this game.
You look at the overall kills between both these two teams, 20-9. That just shows you the outslaying that is going on. I mean, you kind of feel bad for Epsilon here because they do need to pick things up a little bit, and they're definitely capable of doing so, but they're just having a very slow start, and that slow start will cost them in the long run because, again, I have to repeat myself, if Epsilon drop below 82 tickets, that is game 1 going to Eyeballers, and Eyeballers actually having the trip cap right now. Yeah,
this is scary here for Epsilon after such a hard-fought battle in that first game, or in that first side. You're seeing Epsilon begin to crack a little bit here as Duke is going to find one, but Zanks will be there for the stop, and you know, Eyeballers, we got to jump over to these guys, man. They're just looking so great. Every single time Epsilon thinks they have something, Eyeballers comes up right behind them and begins backcapping them. And that is something, if you're Epsilon, you have to be frustrated with.
Yeah, you're going to be very annoyed. Epsilon now only with a Bravo flag, 136 tickets remaining. As slowly, Eyeballers are just doing what they need to do. You know, they don't need to be overly aggressive. They're not doing anything wrong at this point, and you have to give props again to Daniel, as you mentioned. 8-1 at this point. Scar 7-3 as well. These guys are really having a fantastic game, as Daniel unfortunately did just get taken out, and it looks like Eyeballers are just going to take the opportunity to neutralize B. So now Epsilon, they're not getting any points on the board.
Well, yeah, now they have to fight their way back into this in order for they have to make sure they secure B before they can move on and get A. No one's really going to be by A here, as Zank's going to be taking some shots. Let's go ahead and jump on with him. He's going to have a couple health remaining here, knowing that players are going to be on the right side, perhaps right in front of him. But you can see that red Dorito pushing on the right area. That was actually going to be Jera. Another one up top of the staircase. That was Jera. Manages to close him out. And Eyeballers just dominating and putting Epsilon in that dangerously close territory.
Yep, they are playing very well this round. You have to really give it to them. 35 kills, only 16 deaths coming in from this Eyeballers lineup, parallel to, you know, Epsilon there, 18 for 25. Really are having a fantastic game. There's 107 tickets remaining. They are trip capped as well. Epsilon not in a very good place right now. Seems like it's only going to be a matter of time now before they do drop below that 82 ticket threshold, and Eyeballers are going to take the first map off Epsilon from the whole tournament. Yeah,
that's crazy, man, to think of. I mean, it's getting close to that point, right? Where, and again, if Eyeballers, or excuse me, if Epsilon goes below that 82, you know, points plus 82 there on the board, that's it. It's over. It's done with. So, like you said, Ben, right there, I mean, taking that first game, that speaks volumes for Eyeballers.
I'm not going to lie, I thought Epsilon were going to be coming into this game stronger and arguably would take it, but hey, who knows, we may see it go all the way down to that third and final map.
I mean, I won't lie though, the crashes definitely sucked, you know, for Epsilon. I mean, that there's no hiding that, and you could tell that they got a little frustrated with that one there. So it would not, I think at this point they may have just said, all right, well, you know what, we lost this one. I don't think they care much about losing a game as much as, you know, we care about them losing a game, because obviously it's great for the story of the tournament. But needless to say, though, Eyeballers, Clissage getting a bunch of kills there, and
oh my God,
following up with a third. Oh my goodness.
Wow, that was disgusting. That was That should not have happened.
That shouldn't have. Only about 4 points remaining here, and this is pretty much going to wrap things up between these teams. We're going to be going to game number 2. Lankang Dam just not in the favor of Epsilon here, as that will do it. It's mathematically impossible. Eyeballers will take game number 2, or number 1.
Number 1, yeah. Fantastic play from them. Again, you got to give them a lot of credit to this Eyeballers team, that the first team in the whole tournament to take a map off of Team Epsilon. That's
well, they ran into a formidable. They ran into quite the challenge here. I mean, MYM's a great team. Don't get me wrong, but Eyeballers, we saw them put numbers up that we were seeing Fnatic put up yesterday.
That's very true.
You know, so it's like this is shades of what we saw on the day before, honestly. And Eyeballers managing to Eyeballers taking that first victory there. I think we have a little camera view of Eyeballers right now as they're right now focused and playing. So they're actually playing out the game, but it's pretty much done at this point. There you can actually see the staging there for everyone.
And Team
circling around.
Fnatic are here as well. They've been having a couple of games. They came over, had a little chat to us as well. They're feeling pretty confident.
I think
you know,
Daniel Matros is keeping them honest.
Good. Well, that's what a team manager needs to do. To be honest with you, you need to keep them true. That's
very true, Ben. Very true. True thing, Ben.
Thanks, bro.
Oh, goodness. All right, guys. So we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have game number 2 before actually this game's almost done here. But we're going to have game number 2 in just a little bit. So you don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a bit.